Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about ServiceNow's new service portal and does it equal a great service catalog. A few notes before we start. Your phone lines are muted today, so if you have any questions, please use the chat panel or the questions panel. Make sure you send your questions to all presenters. That makes it easier for us as we're fielding those questions. We are recording the event today, so you will receive an email from the ReadyTalk address that you received your confirmation from. You'll get that email no later than close of business tomorrow, and it will include a link to download the slides as well as the recording from today's event. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Don Casson, CEO of Evergreen Systems. Don?
Thank you, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Don Casson, CEO of Evergreen, and with me is my co-presenter, Jeff Benedict, who heads up Evergreen's ITSM practice and leads our innovation efforts. If you're new to our webinar series, welcome. If you're a past attendee, thanks for joining us again. Our goal is to share valuable information and insights that you can use in your planning and activities right now. The topic we'll explore today is essentially ServiceNow's new service portal. Does it equal a great service catalog? So after a very little bit about Evergreen, we'll dive into that topic. Beyond that, we'll briefly demonstrate some of the concepts we're going to discuss in our always evolving view of a very advanced self-service catalog and portal experience built on ServiceNow. Then we'll answer some questions if you have any, and anytime during the webinar, you can submit a question using the Q&A function. Evergreen is a U.S.-based consulting firm. We've worked with hundreds of mid-market, Fortune 1000, and public sector organizations to help them improve their IT service management execution. Over the past 18 years, believe it or not, we've delivered more than 4,000 IT service management projects. That's a lot. We are a full lifecycle firm. We have both process and technology consulting in one company, which makes us more of a one-stop sort of shop for our customers. We are one of only two top-tier U.S. ServiceNow partners now that fruition is CSC Global Services and Cloud Sherpas is Accenture. We have well over a decade of domain experience in virtually every area of the ServiceNow portfolio, but we view all of it from a perspective we call customer-centric service management. At Evergreen, we think traditional ITSM thinking is wrong, because it puts the customer, the people whom we're really doing this for, last. It's hard to believe, but it's true. In many cases, it takes a couple of years to even think about the customer. It's kind of like that game, Where's Waldo? Almost 3 years ago now, we really took notice of the beautiful self-service experiences we were having with Amazon and Apple and Google as consumers, and Airbnb and Zappos. And we wondered, why can't our ITSM customers have the same thing? The answer was they could. So we started challenging our thinking ITSM, and as a result began looking at everything from the customer in rather than IT out. And that began what we call customer-centric ITSM. If we start with a customer, we actually do things differently. We would focus perhaps on preventing incidents rather than handling them. We would use self-service and automation across ITSM to make customers happier and also reduce the work of IT. We'd see services as end-to-end team value chains rather than disconnected technology silos, and this better understanding leads naturally to better, smaller changes, kind of like DevOps, with less change failures because we know better. And knowledge, it can evolve into a powerful and beautiful self-enabling experience for our customers, which we use to change the value of the technology that they are using to power the organization. So let's get to our topic. Service Portal was just released May 2016 at part of Helsinki. For those of you who were lucky enough to attend Knowledge 16, you got to see Fred Luddy, ServiceNow's founder, demonstrate Service Portal's power on stage. Evergreen has had developer program early access to Helsinki and Service Portal, and we've closely analyzed Service Portal's functionality, which we will explore today. Make no bones about it, this is a big deal. The CMS is a foundational technology layer that provides customer interaction across all the ServiceNow applications. Replacing the CMS is like replacing the second story of a three-story house. The high points here are the use of leading industry standard components like AngularJS and Bootstrap, a responsive framework so you get to see the same look and feel across your different platforms, and creating a consistent user experience. Got to hit the right button. Okay. There are some new things that Service Portal brings us. While all of these are interesting, we're most excited about those I highlighted in green. Widgets is a powerful ability to create workflows and include third-party content or code pretty easily. Fred demonstrated that at K16. You can think of them like microservices. Moving from one-to-one interaction to collaborative interaction is also a very big deal. It enables better self-service, faster learning, and automatically curated knowledge. Do you need to replace the fog lights on your 2001 Suburban? Or fix your KitchenAid dishwasher? I did. And I found step-by-step videos on YouTube for both of them. That's the power of collaborative. Last, true-level clients will enable service interaction where you are, with what and whom is there with you, and when you are. How about the Internet of Things? That's what that feels like to me. So for those of us trying to provide a better customer-centric service experience, this is the big question. Is Service Portal a service catalog solution? No. It was intended to be a modern platform upon which better solutions can be built. And boy, is it that. Area by area, let's look at what Service Portal brings, what you need, what gaps exist, and how you can meet them. Now, I have a confession. I have a problem. We have done 40 webinars over the last 2.5 years, and we've always focused on giving you value. That has not changed. But today, we're looking at technology specifically. That's really the first time we've done that. And when we discuss gaps and how you can meet them, the answers will be in what we have built for that problem area. So I apologize in advance if it sometimes looks a little bit salesy. What I would ask you to do is please try to think of those things as functionality and decide yourself whether or not it has value for you. Service Portal brings a basic request functionality which you can easily build upon. It's a good starting point, like a simple request catalog. It doesn't really distinguish between requests and services, doesn't really have sort of a concept of services, and since it doesn't have that, there's no service quality feedback mechanism or service management capability that comes out of the box. So if we take that example of Service Portal, when you open the item to request Oracle Database, you find a simple request form for Oracle Database. A nice starting place, but the customer needs more than that. Oracle Database hosting is a service because it's durable over time. It has expectations of quality of service, service hours, and service availability. Asking for it is a request. So it's important to understand both services and requests, and that every request is actually attached to some service. Here's an example on the right-hand side of a service called Expense Management. As a customer, I can quickly decide if I want it, and if so, see and select from the request types I can access right from the service. This is the natural flow of work for a complete customer experience end to end. Service Portal gives you the ability to create new requests and supporting workflows easily and quickly. It is a powerful capability. But that can also create a problem. You can quickly build hundreds of requests and services, all with unique looks and feel. Your customers won't like that. Think about Amazon. As customers, we love the fact that it is a consistent end-to-end experience every single time. In fact, we are so used to it, we don't even have to think anymore about how to use it. It's actually an autonomic habit. Your customers will expect a consistent customer experience too. So we extend Service Portal with a consistent service design process, which easily flows into a consistent and complete service and request presentation that your customers see. As we call out here, consistent service design process yields consistent customer experience. Absolutely foundational. Service Portal provides you an attractive list of potential categories for your requests, which is a good starting point for you to think about how you might want to organize this. This works fine for 10 or 15 requests. But what happens when you have hundreds of requests and services? At that point, we need a consistent hierarchical approach to organizing our requests and services, which can help both us and our customers. To meet the challenge of hundreds of services, we extend Service Portal with a visual service taxonomy approach we created that works for both the customers and the providers. It's a lot like the Dewey Decimal System for libraries. Once it's agreed upon, we import it into Service Portal. If we're looking at an IT service catalog, on the upper right, you can see 6 categories of services. Then if we drill into a category, in this case we're drilling into business applications, you see 9 different categories of business apps. If we drill into the finance category, for example, we then see down below 5 financial services. Good service taxonomy equally benefits the customers and the providers and unfolds this way for both. We said earlier that Service Portal was designed to deliver a modern user experience and empower developers with tools to be much more creative, much more quickly. Users and developers were the key focus of Fred Luddy's keynote speech at Knowledge 16. But if we're going to build and deliver great services consistently, we need to broaden who we're focused on. Every service, from our perspective, has 3 key constituencies: the customer, the providers, which includes the developers, and the managers. All must be involved and have their needs met to create a viable service. The customer wants an excellent customer experience. And to deliver that, we must think like the customer and design from the customer in, not IT out, or they'll reject it. The provider wants execution effectiveness. And if we don't build it that way, if we don't build it in a way that makes them more efficient and effective, then they won't support the change with the customers and will work around the system. The manager wants governance and accountability. Without these, we are blind. We can't price and deliver a service consistently with high quality. The next 2 slides speak a little bit more to this. So there is a ballet of sorts that exists between the customer and the provider. The better we do, the closer we get, and vice versa. We see the real proof of this relationship in how far we can go combining self-service and automation. It's a great test. This is the ultimate test of the principle: give the customer what they want to get what we need. My customers ask me, what percentage of our services can be self-service and fully automated? And I answer, how about 100%? Now, they often scoff at that, as you would expect, and call me names. But that's what Amazon does. They have the most highly rated retail customer experience on earth, higher than Nordstrom or Costco, and you can't talk to them. That's pretty amazing. Now, whether we can get to 100% or not is not the point. For most of us, there is a lot of potential for self-service plus automation if we just open our minds to it. Service Portal today provides a good basic request portal starting place. But if we're going to build and deliver quality services, we need a good way to manage them too. That's what we call the other side of the coin. Evergreen extends Service Portal to meet that need. Here you see the customer-facing view of a service on the left-hand side and the provider or manager's view on the right. Let's take a quick look at the service manager's workspace that we've developed. It includes information on customer satisfaction, quality, service health, availability, and delivery. I can easily see who my customers are and what they're currently asking for. The idea behind this is to make it the one place where the service manager goes to reactively and proactively manage their service and interact with their customers every day. It becomes that daily workspace. Service Portal follows ServiceNow's direction of multiple independent service portals for different functional areas. While this makes it easier for the providers, we think it makes it harder for the customers, and they really won't like it. Imagine, and I'm not going to say Amazon, imagine if the Airbnb shopping experience for beach rentals was completely different for North Carolina and South Carolina, and one was good and the other was bad. Would you say that some of Airbnb is good and some is bad? Nope. You would be mad and you wouldn't use it. So Evergreen extends Service Portal by creating a unified customer experience at the highest level. This is for a number of things, for services, requests, search, help, knowledge, and status, because we believe that's what the customer wants. Below that, we support subcatalogs, which also gives the individual providers the latitude they need to build and deliver great services. So both parties win. Here we're looking at the Information Services catalog on the right-hand side, but if you look inside the orange circle, you see other catalogs too, like facilities, HR, and so forth. And you can change your view to see any one or all of them at the same time. It's up to you, the customer. As you can see here, that's a little bit faint, but I think you can see it. Service Portal comes out of the box with some basic self-service functionality, and you can very easily build more. We extend Service Portal with what we think are very deep and broad self-service capabilities that the customers are going to want. And this includes context-sensitive help, a single unified status portal, more powerful search across the entire platform, a self-service genius bar, and 5-star social feedback, to name a few. Now, speaking of the 5-star customer social feedback, everyone always sucks in their breath when we mention that. And I have yet to have a client who wants to start with that day one. It can seem pretty intimidating. Knowing that, like a lot of the other added functionality we built, we made it easy to turn it on or off with a toggle switch. Here's a little deeper look at how we extend Get Help. Service Portal starts with help topics on a single level with basic functionality to take an action. That's good. We extend that by trying to predict what the user needs. We're adding drill-down capability, suggestions, and tag search to dig deeper. All of this is with the intent of enabling the customer to self-service answer their questions or resolve their issues, so IT doesn't have to get involved. Another area where IT gets a lot of workload is in status request checks. On average, it makes up between 20 and 35% of the demand coming to IT support. Service Portal brings a combined list to view for the customer, with the ability to drill into it for more information. Status for each of the different portals is separate, though. For example, you can't check the status of an HR request if you're in the IT portal. You have to switch portals. Evergreen extends Service Portal by creating a single, unified, searchable status portal across all your items. IT, non-IT, it doesn't matter. Additionally, we give the customer the means to interact with the provider right from the status portal. It seems like a logical thing to us, right? When you check status, that's when you want to take action. And that customer can provide updates, ask questions, or confirm resolution. All these things aimed at reducing the volume of status check requests coming into the service desk while also improving the customer's experience through beautiful self-service. Last but not least, Service Portal is a modern platform upon which better solutions can be built. Evergreen extends Service Portal with our Employee Self-Service Catalog and Portal solution, which operates on the Service Portal platform native to ServiceNow. Boy, does that not sound like a sales pitch. Sorry about that. It's designed to be a complete end-to-end customer portal solution out of the box, which you don't build, you just use. It has 6 themes to choose from, 15 different landing pages for end-to-end experience, and 3,000 lines of code today. It is available as a scoped application, which is nice because it helps you upgrade more smoothly, and all that stuff is tested before you have to worry about it. And thanks to you, it is the most viewed and most purchased product on the ServiceNow software store. Okay, so many of our customers ask us, how do we go from where we are with CMS to Service Portal, or how do we go where we are from CMS to CMS with a better solution for customer-centric? 90% of our customers start with a 2-week strategy and roadmap engagement. And I know that term strategy roadmap is just an awful thing to hear, but that is typically where they start. We've delivered this engagement multiple dozens of times now, so we get terrific reuse, and it allows us to continually bring more value for the price. Not only does it give you a detailed 3-phase strategy roadmap, it brings all the IP we've developed to help you. We teach you how to use it, and you get to keep it when we're done. We even create a working future state employee self-service catalog and portal demo for you with your look and feel. It's a sandbox in the cloud, which you can use along with your roadmap to actually demonstrate what the future of customer-centric service might look like in your organization. We find that actually to be a lot more powerful and persuasive than a PowerPoint deliverable, but you get that too. All of this is done in 2 weeks for $17,500. So that is the end of what we're going to present today, and I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to demonstrate some of these concepts in action.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. So as Don indicated, I'm going to kind of echo a lot of the things he hit, but I'll show you more in live demonstration versus in slideware. And kind of where I want to start is with kind of what comes out of the box with the Service Portal application with Helsinki, and some of the kind of features and functionality that we can build upon to build kind of a rich customer experience. So first of all, this is the Service Portal kind of landing page, the default theme and look and feel. And it's a clean, kind of crafted interface, and you'll see, as I show through some screenshots here in a minute, this is the same kind of look and feel they have for both their IT as well as their HR, customer service, and some of their other portals they're going to build on top of this as well. And some of the main catalysts for creating this application was really to move away from the legacy content management system and to leverage a new kind of modern toolkit that, as Don indicated, utilizes some common web technologies like AngularJS and Bootstrap, which brings about some benefits in terms of the ability to use things like responsive grids and responsive layouts, which means it will adapt and adjust based off of the device in which it's interfacing with that portal, right, to kind of show the menus and things. Another thing I want to highlight that they've engineered into the portal that we like is kind of accommodation for some of the new feature functionality that's been added in recent versions, such as the Connect live chat feature. So when you do live chat, no longer is it going towards the legacy chat. Instead, now it's going towards this Connect, which has more functionality in terms of putting rich content into here. So I can put like start a new chat session. I can drag and drop screenshots into here to get my help, right? And I can have back and forth kind of chat sessions. Then ultimately on the back end of this, we can open tickets based off of these chat sessions. A similar functionality, but in a new mobile-friendly kind of Connect interface and collaborative experience. In addition, they've also extended the portal to have touch points into the social Q&A aspects of ServiceNow. This was added with Geneva, part of the knowledge management, which are really kind of special knowledge articles in that you can kind of post questions, provide answers, and then ultimately vote on the answers, and bubble up what are the best fitting answers for these various questions. And this obviously becomes another area that we can provide kind of that social inputs and provide answers to our users in terms of self-help and self-enablement. Another thing I want to highlight too with the Service Portal, the toolkit is quite rich. So they've created a variety of different configuration tools for the Service Portal to make it easy to set up a new portal as well as design different pages. So at the beginning, the quick start area, you can set some common properties of your portal, change your logo, change your title, right, change some of the background hero elements here, set some of the common navigation bar and kind of page primary colors, to set some overarching kind of theme styles that can be applied throughout the whole experience. Further, as you get into kind of the designer, so each page has the ability of being designed, and I'll kind of show you how this looks here in a second. So you can take a page like a dashboard page, and you can throw different layouts onto the page, this is your responsive grid that Bootstrap provides, which allows you to kind of break this up into different responsive kind of containers, and then each of these you can drop different widgets onto the page, of which widgets can be kind of configurable objects. So for example, each one of these is actually the same widgets, but they have different properties that you can apply to them, such as applying what's the filter, what's the color, what's the type of chart or graph kind of element you want to display. So very powerful in terms of being able to design the page and then drop the different content elements and create these kind of reusable widgets that you can then apply different styles and or properties on top of. Further, the page designer does give you the ability to kind of preview and edit these pages kind of all in one spot. You can look at this both from how does it look on a mobile or a tablet device, how does it look on a mobile device, and kind of toggle those adjustments right here in one development interface without having to leave. Lastly, the actual widgets themselves. These are where you can develop the different kind of components, and this really, again, for those who have used the content management system in ServiceNow in the past, the benefit you will have with using these new widgets is there is no jelly code, which is a foreign development concept for a lot of developers out there. Now it's straight HTML, some style sheet code that's self-contained within the widget, as well as your server code and your client code. And there's some binding that's done between the two to make it easy to share data between your kind of producer or server side execution activities and your client side AngularJS components. I'm going to kind of show a couple of the features just in slides real quick here, because the other one we hit on that Don alluded to that it really is a nice benefit is the Service Portal is actually embedded and accessible through the native iOS and Android applications that you can install on your phones. And this is kind of a screenshot of how you get to it. You can get to the mobile app, and then from there, under the menu, there is an option to go into Service Portal, and you can launch that portal and interact with it, in the same experience. So some of the benefit with that experience, as you'll see kind of on this page, is on the phones we can make use of things like GPS, make use of barcode scanners, as well as cameras and some of those device-specific components. So when it comes to things like taking a screenshot of an issue or taking a barcode of an asset tag, those are all things that can be accessed from the Service Portal application kind of via that native iOS. Last slide here I want to hit on too is, again, I mentioned that the portal has ServiceNow Strategy, and Don alluded to this, is to create different portals for different functional areas. So you'll see kind of a screenshot here at the top of the different portals that ServiceNow has as far as plugins. This is one of the areas that we don't 100% agree with from a strategy perspective, because as Don alluded to, from a customer-centric view, if I'm looking for status for HR cases, I'm going to see those in the HR portal, whereas if I'm looking for status for IT requests, I'm going to see those in the IT portal and not in the same consolidated experience. I have to know that I have to jump between portals in order to find some of that information. All right, so that's kind of the Service Portal. And let me transition now to our application and some of the things that we add into the mix. So one of the things I'll first hit about, so we talked about we have 6 different themes that we bake into our application. And this really gives you, additional options to kind of craft and put your company brand in terms of the desired image. And each of these does use that responsive framework so that we have a different experience for laptops, desktops, tablets, as well as your smartphones. And our default kind of theme, I'll show you quickly here, looks like this, which is our kind of metro style kind of theme. And so a lot of the elements you'll see here are little tiles with responsive activities. You'll see our widgets that we use to push information to the users through kind of image sliders, as well as outages and alerts. And I'll toggle a theme so you can see what another one of these looks like. So I can toggle this to our kind of vertical menu theme. Kind of see here a different experience, overarching, not just styles, not just colors, but also the way in which the content is rendered is completely different from one theme to the next. And you'll see also, if I get down to mobile experience, you'll see how it interacts here. And this one uses obviously a vertical navigator, but also as an example of kind of highlighting maybe from an experience perspective how users might interact with the portal by looking at more of a search first kind of model, as well as bubbling up the ticket information on the home page so that they can check status and check the activities of their requests without having to dig beyond the home page. All right, so I'll go back to kind of a service portal kind of looking or augmented kind of theme to kind of show some of the other use cases that we've got. So one of the other ones out here, I'll go to get help. And again, so obviously a customer is going to need help from time to time. And one of the things that we hit on in Don's slides is we really didn't want to just drop you into a form. We wanted there to be more guided help, guided self-service, self-enablement. So the way this is structured is it's a decision tree kind of model. I can always say none of the above and go straight to a form, but I can dig into, say, a topical area like email, prompt some further drill down kind of questions. I choose something like access. It'll reveal some knowledge articles that are pertinent to that particular topic that I might want to try. First and foremost, I could also engage in a chat session with an expert pertaining to this topic or schedule an appointment, which I'll show in a minute. And as I fill in my description, this is where we can start to interrogate deeper. We take kind of the descriptive information of that issue the user's having, kind of codify it and tag it, and then look into the knowledge base further, look into that social Q&A, look into the live feed or community aspects, and try to find some other information that might be relevant to that user. The last resort, I can always go and submit a particular incident ticket, kind of the traditional form entry point. And then I'm dropped into my status page. And as Don indicated in the slides, this is a consolidated list. This is not a separate portals for different types of records. This is one place where I can go to both interact with my requests, my incidents, my HR cases, or any kind of record type in ServiceNow. And these can be items where I'm the recipient, or but also could be cases where I'm being prompted to provide inputs from an assessment or survey, or authorize and approve different activities. As a user, I can always drill in deeper to my ticket to see the status. This also becomes an area where I can kind of focus in on the conversation of the activities, such as, I need this before 4 p.m. kind of information. This is a place where I can push information back and forth to the fulfillment group as well. Let me go back to get help and just show you a slightly different path. So if I choose HR, for example, and HR policy, you'll see we can present different forms based off of the topic. Different knowledge articles are highlighted here, as well as a different expert that I can chat or schedule an appointment with. Under schedule appointments, this is where we take kind of like a chat kind of situation where you have a schedule of availability as well as windows of time that the expert is making themselves available for kind of that one-on-one consultative kind of activity. So you can see if I choose something like Saturday, the HR expert doesn't work on Saturdays. I could choose tomorrow, and I could see there's a couple open slots tomorrow, but maybe those don't work for my schedule. So maybe the Friday 1 p.m. time slot is the best option for me in my working calendar at this point. So I can schedule that, and as you might expect, I'm dropped into the status page where I can track the progress of this. And on the back end is workflow that gets routed for the HR specialist to engage and coordinate that expert consultative activity with me as the customer. And then obviously I get that kind of one-on-one Genius Bar type of experience. Another kind of area or feature I want to highlight on is searching. We find obviously in a lot of our experience with customers that tends to be one of the first places customer or users go to look for information or answers is via search. And the way we've kind of looked to make the search stronger is both by trying to make better relevant matches across the different sources, but also to redirect users to the content that might appear like the best fit for the search phrase. So I'll show you a couple examples. So when I do a search for, say, I want an iPad, some of the things that we're doing here is we're really honing in on kind of what is relevant in this particular search phrase, which in this case is really the keyword of iPad, which we can classify as a tablet. So we can hone in on the categories of tablets. I can always widen this to see other things that aren't tablet related, but this kind of is starting in that I appear to be looking for tablets, so let's look in there, and let's specifically look for ones that contain the word iPad, and kind of filter out some of the other noise like I want and is not really relevant to what I'm looking for. Further, I can do a search for, say, a database server. You'll see some of the similar type of results here, in that it'll hone into a specific classification area or category or taxonomy area, as well as hit on the keywords of database server in order to find what I'm looking for. Another example, if I do what is the status of my requests, this is the situation here where we can take the search phrase and identify that the user is actually looking for something like status. So instead of showing them a search results of items that match status, we take them to the status page so they can track the status of those requests. So obviously there's some power in taking the search phrase and routing them to the appropriate context within the portal that matches that. Another kind of lasting example, if I do a search for a specific record, say a particular incident number, in this case, it'll drop me straight into the detail page of that incident record where I can see the status of that. So that's searching, but obviously, you can also go about finding the items you want kind of through a browse. So you can see on this home page, there's kind of the classifications and categories of items I'm looking for. So I can drill into here. Maybe I want to order something like desktops. It'll take me into this area where I can see the different desktops. You'll see functionality you obviously expect from any kind of portal or any kind of shopping experience, with the ability to order now, add to cart, kind of save for later kind of activities. Further, I can also submit requests for things that maybe aren't product related, like maybe requesting a new service. So maybe I'm looking in here, maybe I'm not finding what I'm looking for, so I can filter this further, looking for ones that are pertaining to access. Maybe this is what I want, is requesting access to our software product called Concur. And again, I can order this, add to cart, but I want to highlight also a point that Don mentioned earlier, is being able to see the differentiation between requests and those sustainable services. So you'll see this is part of a business service called expense management. If I want to learn more about that, I can click there. And you can see what we call our service tombstone of here is what the service is, who it's available to, the different things I can request and context to it, what's considered in scope, out of scope, different offerings and commitments, as well as some of that service health and service feedback and ratings information related to that service. Not to mention, if I'm looking for help or information about the service, I can come to the frequently asked questions section of the service to learn more about some of the common questions and answers that might come up in regards to, say, the expense management. In this case, I do want to proceed with submitting my request for access. I'm going to come back here, order this, and say need to log expense reports. I will place my order. Now this one's going a little differently than our other ones. So our other requests that we submitted, like our incident or our kind of schedule appointment request, dropped us into the status page. And the reason for that is those are items that were going to be delivered kind of over a period of time. This is a case where, as Don alluded to in the Amazon, of delivering and automating the service without any people you talk to, without any tasks or approvals. This one is 100% automated, where it's going on and provisioning an account for me, going on to Active Directory, adding me to some various groups, and then ultimately validating my access and then delivering me my account information. So this is all happening kind of behind the scenes. And as I'm sitting here talking, it actually is processing, and now I can see it's completed all these various steps and is now waiting for me to confirm my particular my access and my satisfaction with this particular request, which I can do here. I could say, no, things aren't working like I expect, which then would route as a remediation activity to the group that supports this service. Or if I say yes, then my overall request would move to a completed status, as I can see here. So fully automated without ever having to engage with any individuals to actually perform a task or perform an approval or any kind of human-based activity and pertains to supporting the service. The other area I want to kind of show is, so if I want to browse our services in total, I can go to the services section. And this is where that taxonomy and the organization of our services come into play. So we see our different high-level taxonomy categories over here. I can always jump to these sections as well. As I come in here, I could jump to collaboration and communication, kind of expose what are the different services in these different categories. Maybe I'm looking for something pertaining to business applications, maybe HR. Maybe I care about what our Workday service is. So again, I can drill into here and kind of see our Workday service tombstone, see what's in scope, out of scope, the different offerings, health and status information, see that it's got a planned maintenance activity coming up this weekend. The other thing I'll highlight here too is you'll see I'm actually the owner of this particular service, which gives me a couple other options as well. I can go and edit this service information, but I can also go to our kind of service manager dashboard, which then allows me to kind of track how am I performing our various kind of commitments and activities. So you'll see commitments out here related to resolution targets, delivery targets on service requests, as well as availability targets. And so my little widgets up here pertain to that in terms of showing me what are the active incidents and how are they tracking to those commitments, what are my open requests and how are they tracking to those commitments, as well as what are my service subscribers and kind of what's their ratings and feedback of my particular service. Further, I can see my health of my service as well as the dependent components and sub-services that it depends on. I can look at it in this view. I can also look at them in more of the traditional kind of visual map view, which I can see kind of if there's any open incidents or activities on this view as well, and on my service in addition to the services that it depend on as well. Lastly, there is an overall dashboard that the consumers can see of our service taxonomy and service health. So any active alerts and incidents would show up here in this service alerts and outage area. Upcoming planned maintenance shows here, as well as being able to show kind of the organization of our services and health over the last 5 days, kind of in a dashboard kind of presentation and view. So that covers what I hope to cover today. I thank you for the time. I hope this was helpful in sparking some ideas or showing some of the improvements that both ServiceNow has made, but also kind of showing how we can take that toolkit that ServiceNow has and kind of elevate it to provide additional customer-focused activities and solutions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, thank you, Jeff. Okay, so here are, if you're interested in what we're talking about, here are some possible next steps. If you're interested in our self-service catalog and portal, it is available either as a fully functioning self-service demo from our website. You can just follow the links and be using it in a couple of minutes. It is fun. It's easy to work with. It's the stuff that Jeff demonstrated today. There's over 900 people who are using it and demoing it now. You can also download it as a demo version from the ServiceNow store into a test environment or what you have, so you can play with it even more fully if you want to, since it is a scoped application. Perhaps you're interested in establishing a more clear service catalog direction, improving what you're doing, and having a roadmap to do so. Well, we talked about that. We'd be happy to share with you more information, take a deeper look at our two-week offering. And then last, this is one I'm trying to cook up here. We're thinking about creating a free one-day CMS to Service portal review offering. Yeah, we come in and do a complementary analysis review and recommendations around going from one to the other platform. If that is of any interest, it's not built yet, we're working on it, or any of these other things, please reply to us via email, and we'll get back to you and put you on a tracking list if you're interested in the one-day analysis. So that's all we have today to cover. Let's open it up for any questions if we've got any.
Sure, and we do have some questions. And Jeff, a number of these are for you. Got a couple here. First one is, are the services you're showing are the services you're showing actually business services from ServiceNow?
So the service catalog side of it, where I showed kind of the service health dashboard as well as the the service catalog kind of taxonomy, and then the service tombstone are business service records in ServiceNow. It is using there's a service portfolio plugin in ServiceNow that adds some additional attributes and some additional views to those service records to track things like the SLAs and SLA commitments, as well as service offerings. But those are service records. We've extended it to have kind of deeper relationships between what the service and the requestable items are that you can request in context to the service. But in essence, we are using the CMDB components of ServiceNow.
Okay, great. And he also asked, are the visual service mapping and taxonomy tools only available in the Helsinki version?
So the visual mapping and taxonomy tools that Don alluded to in the slides are really in a separate technology called XMIME that we use. And there are some ServiceNow kind of tools that we have to supplement that to take the data that XMIME kind of creates in those visual mind map kind of taxonomies, to export those and import them into ServiceNow. But those are that's XMIME that we use for actually doing that visualization exercise.
Yeah, let me add to that. I think the visual service mapping might be referring to the CMDB view of service interaction, Jeff. I'm not sure about that, but I think it might be.
Yeah.
And that's not just Helsinki. That's in every version where that's been available. It's been for quite some time, you know. Taxonomy tools, yeah, I agree with what you said, and we built that in ServiceNow actually from a taxonomy organization standpoint, and it's available from what I know, at least Fuji on, right? Do we have it for Eureka as well, the taxonomy stuff in ServiceNow?
Fuji on, yeah, I don't know that it was, it probably would work in Eureka. I don't know that we actually had tested or validated it. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, a couple of questions are popping up around the checkout. So one is there a way to have add to cart directly from the item rather than clicking into the item?
Yeah, so we've done that a couple of different ways. Certainly there are some actions that we can produce. I'd say so we have, there's some choices and options on that. So the way we've done it in a lot of cases too is that even from a list or a search results, there's ways to get quickly from an item to it being part of your cart. For example, in some of our configurations have the say list of search results where you click on them, it'll do a pop-up to show you some details of that item that you're looking at, and then there's some buttons at the top of that either order now or add to cart, where you could add it to cart and then basically close that window, and it would be basically in your cart. You can move on looking through the rest of your search results. So certainly that is a feature that we've seen and implemented for a number of different customers because we wanted that kind of ability to have quickly add to cart functions.
Okay, so this may be a different spin on the same question then. It is my understanding that Service Portal did not have a two-step checkout. Did you customize that function, or is it out of the box?
So Service Portal, so this is an interesting question, because the ServiceNow, and I don't know if they will change their thinking, but ServiceNow's initial release of Service Portal is they did not include any cart functionality whatsoever. All the catalog items they present in the Service Portal out of the box just have a submit button, and will take you straight to the request page. There's no ability to add to cart, bundle things together, and then check out later. So we've added that into the Service Portal environment based off of that being a feature that used to exist in the CMS, and a lot of our customers became accustomed to. We also had, along with that, we had some functionality we'd already built before that we've incorporated into the Service Portal that allows you to not just add items to cart, but also kind of add them into a kind of a saved cart. So I want to save this for later for a future checkout kind of situation.
Yeah, we're really, in a way, we're mirroring the functionality that you see in Amazon. And if I could add to that, you know, one of the things, the cart is a really cool thing. and it creates a staging area where you can put 3 or 4 or 5 different products you're interested in, and you can do a sort of a down select in the cart, right? So it's a way to then go look and say, okay, which of these 3 or 4 am I going to choose, right? So it's sort of a way to be able to compare those things. And the other thing is if you're aggregating things, you've got to buy 4 or 5 different things for a solution, well, you can lose track of it. And then you get that whole solution together and you go to the cart and you say, okay, do I have everything I need? So we think it's a really useful functionality.
Jeff, I've got a question about multi-language capability, and is this multi-language capable?
Yes. Yeah, so we build everything to, I mean, so in essence, the, you know, anytime you see a label, anytime you see a validation message, anytime you see kind of a form, you know, placeholder input, all those we use what are called message records in ServiceNow, which can have basically an alternative, you know, what the French version of that message is versus what the English version is versus the Spanish version. We also use wherever there are labels that are tied to, say, data records like a catalog item or knowledge record. We inherit how they support or how ServiceNow does multi-language for those items, which are usually using what are called translated fields on those tables. So the short answer is yes, it does support multiple languages.
Okay, great. Question about the HR scheduling that you showed. What happens after a user sends the request? Will that generate something like a meeting request number?
So it can. We kind of kept our workflow behind that request fairly basic at this point. What we found with a lot of customers that have implemented that functionality is that there was some variability in how they'd want to implement that. And oftentimes it was kind of up to, or they wanted kind of up to the expert themselves to figure out how they wanted to actually engage with the customer to conduct that meeting. In a lot of cases it was like in the HR expert case, they would have, they might send a WebEx or a Skype meeting invite to the customer with that on that date and time, that it wouldn't be generated from ServiceNow but sent from the expert themselves that was going to be executing that particular request. But there is certainly the capability in ServiceNow to generate via email an Outlook or a kind of a calendar invite that would kind of be added to the customer's calendar for that particular event. But as I said, we kind of kept it fairly basic at this point.
Okay. Another question about search functionality. Can I search on a wildcard, and is it case sensitive?
So I'm not sure what they mean by wildcard, but certainly it's case insensitive. And again, we're leveraging ServiceNow's, behind the curtain, we're leveraging ServiceNow's full text search capabilities. And so there are some wildcards and things like that that can be applied to the search in those contexts. The only thing we're kind of doing on top of it, as I showed before, is we have some preprocessor activities that take the phrase, kind of strip out the stuff that appears to be, or pull out the things that are really relevant keywords, and then also pull out the things that look like classifications, or if we can classify or categorize it, apply that to the search and the filter as well, in addition to looking for certain keywords that might indicate rerouting to a different kind of place within the portal. But no, it's not. It's case insensitive, and we will kind of inherit some of ServiceNow's wildcard searching mechanisms.
Okay. Don, we have a question about the taxonomy tool. It says, do you provide the taxonomy tool templates with the service? Do you provide the XMind templates, et cetera?
Oh, great. I don't get many questions, so I'm happy. Jeff gets all the good questions. So yes, in the 2-week strategy and roadmap engagement, not only do we bring that XMind template, the XMind templates with us, but we do 2 workshops in that time with the core team and teach you guys how to use it, and then work together to build V1 of your service taxonomy. So at the end of the engagement, you've got your first version of the taxonomy, which you then manage under change control, and you can refine it more. You've learned how to do it, and you've also got the templates and the process for doing it and extending it.
Okay, great. And I'm getting questions about if this is being recorded. It is being recorded, and I know we're running up on 5 minutes to the hour, so if you have to drop off, I will still ask all your questions, and the answers will be recorded, and you can always email me as well. All right, we talked about Xmind. Jeff, I believe this is you. Do the client UI policies work out of the box with the mobile platform?
Yes. So, and I'm assuming this is a question pertaining to the service portal. So my understanding with the service portal is any client UI policies and or client scripts that you have tied to catalog items do work and do work in the service portal, which means it'll work on either the mobile interface or the non-mobile interface. Now, some of those may depend on if you write certain code into the client scripts that are specific to I don't know, a specific browser or something unique to the environment or platform, then that would obviously maybe break in an iOS kind of setting. But all that should be supported. The only areas I know that really aren't supported are you can have UI macro variables on catalog items. That I don't believe is supported with Service Portal because those are jelly code that they don't render. And then their wizards is kind of a legacy catalog item. I don't believe those are supported with the Service Portal.
Great. A follow-up question on the cart items that were discussed. How do these customizations, such as the cart items, work across the ServiceNow applications, such as SAM, CHG, PRB, INC?
Change, problem, incident.
All right.
Software asset management.
And software, yeah. So, or are they just specific to the service catalog and request management?
So, I'll see if I can understand the question. But I mean, so typically, typically in your catalog, you can have customer catalog items that would create a say a change request or create a problem or create an incident. Like I did one in my demo today where on the Get Help page, I submitted an incident from that Get Help page. That's kind of called a record producer. Typically, those aren't added as to a cart and then checked out later. Typically, those are submitted and ordered kind of on just a direct submission, though there's no reason why they couldn't be added to a cart and then checked out later. But so, I mean, all that still are defined as catalogs, and then the request is either creating a request record or some other kind of record, whether that be a change record, a problem record, an incident, et cetera. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's kind of how ServiceNow structured those different kind of components.
She clarified saying that she was referring to more of the stages or status updates or transparency to these for the customer.
Yeah, so I mean, so certainly we have a lot of flexibility in our portal to kind of what data do you want to expose to the customer. So first of all, you could expose change records, you could expose problem records and their source. Those could show up on that status page. I think I showed on my status page at HR cases and kind of approvals and surveys. Those are all table driven to say what are the different tables and how do I want to group those tables on the status page. You know, do I want to treat multiple custom tables as requests? So I can expose those all on the status page. The other thing we can do is there's kind of a mapping level or mapping layer. So if there were updates to a related change or updates to a related problem on an incident, we could represent kind of some, a recent update message to the customer to say, related problem XYZ moved to a ready for promotion to change kind of status or something that would be meaningful to the customer based off of those related activities.
There's a question about whether we support any integrations with SAP applications.
Not directly, no. I mean, we've done integrations with SAP in the past, typically web service based, SOAP or REST. There also are cloud-based integration products out there that we've interfaced with in the past that do have kind of connectors or plug-and-play kind of components with SAP. So certainly, depending on the use cases, we could either, develop an integration with SAP or look at some of the other off-the-shelf kind of connectors and solutions out there that might meet that business need.
Yeah, we've done a lot of that. It just is each one is somewhat, I won't say it's unique, but there's nothing that's sort of out of the box that fits everyone.
Don, I've got a follow-up question for you on taxonomy. The $17K, does that include software cost? And if we've already purchased, is there an upgrade cost for just the checkup service?
Okay. The $17K for $17.5 for the 2-week assessment and roadmap, it does not include the cost of the licenses for Xmind, but Xmind is pretty inexpensive. It's $90 per perpetual license, and viewer licenses are unlimited free. So you don't need a lot of copies of Xmind, so it's not a big expense. If you've already purchased a 2-week engagement roadmap, is there an upgrade cost for the checkup service? I'm guessing that's the one that I promoted that we might do, and there would not be.
Jeff, another question for you. I'm sorry, follow-up question to that, Don. What about the portal software?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the portal software is it's sold as an annual SaaS agreement, and it's $12,500 per year through the software store. And it doesn't matter how much of it you use, how many copies of it you have. There's no restrictions on any of that. It's just a flat price. And we really designed it intentionally to be very affordable. And our goal is to get our customers to begin moving down this customer-centric journey, because there's a lot to do there. And we are a consulting firm, so really we try to make the software very, very affordable.
I mean, one other thing I'll add to that too. I mean, we do our portal application. If you went to the ServiceNow software store, you'll see there is a trial option for it, so it is available for trial. And so it's certainly something that as you talk about the 2-week activity, it's one of those things that we could install in your environment, kind of personalize to some degree, and kind of play with as part of that activity as well.
Great. We do have a few more questions. We're at the top of the hour, so if you need to drop off, if you have follow-up questions, you can email me at marketing@evergreensys.com. And again, you will get a recording of this event. Jeff, does the service portal support push notifications on the phones?
Yes. So I mean, this is so it's actually part of ServiceNow's mobile application, and so as I said before in my slides, the service portal can leverage and be launched from that mobile application. And I think the push notifications were added as part of Geneva, and there are some different. They're a little different than your standard email notifications, but there's another area within ServiceNow where you can configure what those push notifications are, different from that of your native email or SMS-based notifications.
Okay, another one for you, Jeff. Does the service owner dashboard provide proactive alerts for the commitments?
Yes. So I mean, typically these are tied into an SLA record, and then there's what you do on the SLA records is you link them to a proactive workflow. Or what's common is you'll kind of trigger your different activities based off a percentage, percentage of that target being achieved or met or missed, I guess you could say. So you could do something like at 75% of a delivery target, maybe you send a portal message and an email notification to the service owner, and then as you get maybe closer to say 90%, maybe you'd send an SMS message to the service owner or something more urgent.
And I think this is our last question. Any more questions, please use the chat or question panel. Do the alternative themes just provide changes to the styles and colors?
So that's part of it. I mean, the themes do load different style sheets, which kind of cover the colors as well as some of the styling of the elements. But I kind of showed you a little bit in toggling the themes, but there are structural elements to our themes as well. Where the actual what shows up on a page or what shows up in terms of the different widgets are defined in the theme definition as well, so you can actually provide a very different set of content as well as style within one theme versus the other.
Okay, great. Well, I think that is all our questions, so I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and I'll send the recording and the slides out. You can always access our past recordings and see our upcoming events on the Resources tab at evergreensys.com. And again, if you have any questions, please email us at marketing@evergreensys.com. So thank you.